Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about the brain with neuro. And again, this is going to be probably one of our most complex aspects. I'm not going to go too much into here, but I want to kind of talk about everything that we can go over and coordinate. We're going to get more through this through the actual class too. So there's basically six major regions that I want you to know. The cerebrum, diencephalon, the midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and the cerebellum. So it is important that you know what each of these do and the function. Main ones I'm looking at is the cerebrum, midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. The diencephalon we'll get into, but that's not going to be as critical for you in this class. So the cerebrum is basically our two major hemispheres that's going to be divided in half into our right and left hemisphere. The diencephalon is going to be inside. This is going to be a hollow area. The four canal vessels are going to be, that's going to simulate that, and that's going to be our sensory area. Our hypothalamus, I'm going to get more into the pituitary gland, and those when we talk about the endocrine system. So I'm not too worried from here. The brain stem is going to be the really important aspect we'll talk to, especially when we talk about intracranial pressure and everything else, because our brain stem has our midbrain, our pons, and our medulla oblongata, and this is what really controls our respiration, our heart drive, everything from there, and that's going to be down here in this portion. Also, if we get swelling in the brain and that brain pushes down through the foramen magnum, we get pressure across this brain stem, and that's going to cause issues, and it's going to drop our breathing to make it insecure. It's going to drop our heart rate. So a lot of different things that can happen on that. So pons is basically the bridge between the two, and the medulla oblongata is connected to the brain and the spinal cord. It relays that information. And it's our major center that's going to regulate those autonomic functions. So again, this is an important aspect because this controls everything that's automatic, or basically our smooth muscle functions. The cerebellum is going to be in the back, and this is what's going to be doing our control, our sensation, our balance, a lot of different things like that. It's going to control in there. The ventricles, again, I'm not going to go into there and have you talk about specific on that. There's a lot of aspects to those that mean a lot, but for you guys, I'm not going to worry about this time. And then lastly, we have the cerebrospinal fluid, which is going to bathe the entire brain and spinal cord, and it's going to be mostly in that middle portion of the meninges, the arachnoid space area. So here's again a picture of the brain, and as we look in here of the brain here, we got the meningeal layers that are going to surround this and come down the spinal cord and encase everything in here. And that's cerebrospinal fluid not only gives nutrients, but it also has communication between it, and it also has waste products being taken out. It's approximately about 150 mils, and it's continually replacing itself as the whole body does of renewing itself, and that helps get rid of waste and everything, as well as keeping the fluid circulating. I'm not going to go too much, like I said, into the cerebrospinal fluid, except for you know what it can do and where it is. The cerebrum, again, the largest portion of the brain. This is going to be most of our sensory information. The gray matter is going to be, again, our neurons. Our white matter is going to be the myelinated axons. And again, here we're looking at the different hemispheres, right and left, and these ridges called gyra are the ridges that come in. And these are all communications, and that's about as specific as I'm going to go. So I'm not going to go any more specific into that. As far as the brain, it can be broken up in just like the skull is to the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe of the cerebrum. I'm not too worried about you knowing exactly anything more than those regions. And that's pretty much about it. So I'm going to keep scrolling along here too. Eventually, like I said, I will get you all these slides, and you'll have every single slide to review. Again, because this is the area that we're doing a review on, this is not going to be intense, whereas if this was one of our actual class lectures, I'd be going over every slide or reviewing all the information on there, everything you need to know, but this is going to be just a review and intro. So Wernicke's area, also it's just presenting only one hemisphere, and this is we'll talk about Wernicke's areas, Broca's areas, which is speech, and all those informations as we get to there. And that's going to be really prominent when we deal with strokes.